Mr. Golding misrepresented this case exponentially. And I was bothered by it because I said to myself, if this is something that I know about and I as observer can sit and say, you are misrepresenting this matter, what other matters are you misrepresenting? And so his credibility took a shot at that point, and I don't believe anything he said. So for me, in this particular matter for which I'm implicated and which I can say he is not telling the truth, he was not credible for me. Yeah. And so I found then his presentations more gimmickry. Because if I know that you're just making up stories, then what you come up with after that, I don't trust you and I don't know what is truth from what are lies.
And we should tell our listeners you're a member.
I'm a member of the Constitutional Reform Committee, and it came up a lot. Some of the questions did not reflect the truth of the constitutional reform process, it was painful for me to sit down and listen to that part of the discourse, which some of it was just a misstatement of the fact. Okay. And I think the Prime Minister tried to clarify, but I don't know if Jamaicans understand that some of those questions misrepresented the issues.
Professor Blake.
Let we go. When he rum, tell you you's a big dancer. Come show them you's a big dancer. Bend down if you's a big dancer.
Let me give you some practical and real answers instead of airy-fairy stuff. Jamaica is already positioning itself for nearshoring and friendly shoring of the recalibration of the global supply chain. And that is why we have made a massive investment in the Caymana's development and in Raintree. These are real investments that will bring production to Jamaica and jobs to Jamaica. We have already started to ensure that over 120,000 Jamaican youths can access training free of cost on the heart. And much of that training is in support of not just BPO, but logistics. But more than that, we saw the change in technology coming and the impact it will have. And that is why we have invested in a coding and technology academy, the Amber Heart Academy, where hundreds of Jamaican youth are trained in not just the basics, but as high up as data science. Because what we want to create in our society are the trained skills that can attract the jobs that we are already negotiating for. You have a government that understands the changing global dynamics and putting in place measures to take advantage of it. The hollowing out of the middle class is an act of the PNP. They totally decimated the middle class. It is the Jamaica Labour Party that introduced the increase in the non-tax threshold that recreated a middle class in Jamaica. In fact, when you look at the salary profile of PAYE contributors, you would see that their salaries have all risen. It is a Jamaica Labour Party through the compensation review that has increased salaries by over 200 billion Jamaican dollars for public sector workers. The current proposal of the PNP is unworkable. Corruption is a serious problem in our country, and corruption requires strong leadership. From my position as Prime Minister, I have taken action against any member of my political party that has been involved or accused of anything that suggests corruption. In my own case, I have been investigated for a year with an expert forensic auditor. The findings of that report have suggested no corruption. There have been no charges. Every aspect of my report, every aspect of my personal life and my personal financial details are in the public domain. I am the politician about which Jamaica knows the most. And therefore, I am the politician who can stand with the greatest moral authority to treat with any matter that is considered corrupt, as I have done in the past. And I want to give this assurance to the Jamaican people that you know me, you know about me, you can trust me, and you know that I stand against corruption. The Jamaica Labour Party is the only political organization to have reduced taxes. We reduced the GCT from 16.5% to 15%. And we have done so in a way that has not compromised our revenues or the sustainability of future programs. All, and I repeat, all the tax suggestions and promises of the opposition will compromise our fiscal arrangements and place us back in debt or result in increased taxes. The best way to provide social services is to identify the persons who need it.
Thank you, Dr. Holness.
A clear majority of Jamaicans now believe the Andrew Holness-led Jamaica Labour Party deserves a third term in office. That sentiment has increased by 5 points since last May. That's according to the latest nationwide Blue Dot polls powered by Total Tools. It's a big vote of confidence for the governing party as it enters the final stretch of the 2025 election campaign. Ricardo Brooks has the numbers.
The Labourites have been telling anyone who will listen that a third term is loading. In fact, some have been bold enough to predict it's already loaded. According to the Blue Dot data, they may well be right. When the pollsters asked 1,511 registered voters whether Andrew Holness and his government deserve a third term, 55.5% said yes. That's up 5 points from the 50.3% who gave the same answer in May. It's also a near 8-point jump from the 48% who said yes in September last year. 44% of the respondents want to see the back of Holness and his Green Army. But the Labourites need not be too daunted by that figure, since it's down 5.2 points since May. The Blue Dot pollsters say the strong reception to a third term indicates a JLP that has consolidated support and is now benefiting from a decisive shift in public sentiment. This shift is being reported on the day the security forces and special service electors are casting their ballots, and just 4 days out from the ultimate political showdown between Holness's JLP and Golding's PNP. Earlier this year, this reporter told you to buy yai pudong, cause I ain't nothing did I go, or something did I come. You may take those eyes out of storage. The hour draws nigh. The Jamaican people will soon return their final verdict on this business of a third term. The nationwide Blue Dot polls were conducted between August 19 and 27. The margin of error is plus or minus 2.5%. Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, support for a third term for Andrew Holness is strongest in the parishes of Manchester, Portland and Trelawney, where more than 60% of respondents say they're prepared to stick with the JLP. In Manchester and Trelawney, the support is as high as 70%. Clarendon is also showing strong support for a third term, with 57% of respondents in the parish saying yes. Kingston and St. Andrew also prepared to return Holness to office, with 56% saying yes. The Labourites have work to do in St. Mary, Hanover and St. Anne, where majorities say no to the prospect of a third term. Those were the only 3 parishes to return majorities against a third term for the Holness administration. The parish of Westmoreland was split evenly on the question.
Want to look at how this breaks out across the country. So for those looking at the graphic online or elsewhere, where you see the icon colored to reflect either party, it means that is the party that is ahead, right? So what this graphic shows is who is ahead in each parish. So let's go around, starting in the east. So in St. Thomas, we have 50% of the sample indicating wholeness. So that parish, they're in favor of wholeness. And that pretty much continues all along the southern coast of the country. Kingston and St. Andrew, 52% in favor of wholeness. St. Catherine, 47%. Clarendon, 51%. Manchester, 64%. St. Elizabeth, 51%. Westmoreland, 46%. So that entire southern coast of the island indicating that they are more confident in the plans and proposals that they would have seen or heard up to that point from Andrew Holness and his JLP.
Some interesting numbers there, Janae. Yeah. Westmoreland, 46%. What was the PNP number there?
I can tell you that, but I have to come out of this screen.
Okay.
So this graphic focuses on who is ahead, right? So they're ahead in Westmoreland. Hanover breaks the trend if we're going around the island, and Hanover is instead a majority in favor of switching to the plans and proposals of Golding and his team. 54% of people in Hanover indicate that based on what they've seen or heard, Golding is best suited to lead, and they're looking forward to a PNP government. We're also seeing that sentiment being reflected in St. Mary and in St. Anne, though not with as much enthusiasm as we're seeing in Hanover. St. Mary is really interesting because when we get to the weather vane seats, of which St. Mary Western is one, this is gonna turn everything upside down all over again. So you will see that in that particular constituency in St. Mary, which will point to some other challenges happening elsewhere in St. Mary, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
Right, but overall, as a parish, St. Mary is giving the nod to Golding in terms of suitability to lead. The remaining parishes, St. James and Trelawney on the north coast and Portland in the northeast, are also in favor of Golding and the JLP's proposals. Wholeness